Hello and welcome to part 2 of a series of tutorials where I'll be giving you an introduction to Excel from the very beginning, with the assumption that you have absolutely no knowledge of Excel. In this part, I'll be showing you how to use basic operators and how to add calculations and basic functions into your cells. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is go down to the bottom left, click on the plus to create a new sheet, and I'm going to zoom in quite a bit so you can see exactly what I do in these cells. So the first thing I'm going to do is in cell C3, I'm going to type in 1, and in cell C4 type in 2, in cell C5 type in 3, and in cell D3 type in 1, D4 type in 2, and D5 type in 3. And then in cells E3, E4, and E5, we're going to do our calculations. So in order to get the cell ready to do a calculation, if you click on the cell and type in equals, that will open up the cell and tell it that we're ready to now do a calculation in that cell. So if you want to do a calculation or a function in that cell, click on the cell and press equals. The next thing you need to do, so in this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding cells C3, which is 1, and D3, which is 1, which should give us the value of 2. So if we click in the cell, type in equals, and now we click on cell C3, notice in the cell where we're doing our calculation, C3 has appeared, C being the column and 3 being the row. If we then press plus on our keypad, on our keyboard, and then we select our second cell that we want to add C3 to, notice that we have D3 here appearing. So in our cell now, we have equals C3 plus D3. So now when we press enter, it will do that calculation for us. So if you press enter, we now have the value of 2, which if we press F2, we can go back into the cell and check that that calculation is correct. Cool. So let's now drop down and go to cell E4. And in this one, we're going to do a minus. So we click on the cell, press equals, then we click on cell C4 this time, and instead of pressing plus, we press minus, and then we press cell D4, and we press enter, we get 0, which is C4 minus D4, essentially 2 minus 2, which is 0. So now, let's do multiplication in this table, in this cell here, E5. Let's multiply cell C5 by D5. So if we go back to cell, press equals, and click on cell C5, and in Excel, multiply is not X, it is asterisk. So if we press the asterisk, that will be the multiplier. And then if we press the cell we want to multiply cell C5 by, which is D5, and then press enter, we get 9. 3 times 3 is 9. And again, we can check that pressing F2 to check that we're referencing the right cells. Cool. So our final operand is our divide. So if we press 4 into cell C6 and 4 into cell D6, we now can divide 4 by 4, which you should get as 1. So you press equals, click on cell C6, divide, which is the forward slash, by D6, press enter, we get the value 1. Cool. We also have a power sign, to the power of, which is also another word for saying squared if it's to the power of 2. And we can do that by typing in the sort of arrow sign going up. So if I type in 5 here, if I type in equals 5, and then to the power of, it's shift and then 6, you should get that symbol here. On my keyboard, it's shift and then 6. It could be different on your keyboard, just as long as you get that symbol here. And then 2, that is D8, which is 5, to the power of 2, which is squared, And if we press enter, we get 25. Cool, so those are the basic operators. So now, let's do a really basic function. Let's do a sum. So here we have, let's take this 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can copy and paste these values somewhere else, so we can duplicate them. So if we make our selection with our green box, press Ctrl C, and we click somewhere else. Let's go along, and then go to column I, and then press Ctrl V. We have now copied and pasted this value here from C. You can see that it's got its sort of, instead of having a solid green line, it's now got a dotted green line that's moving around. That is our copied area. We've pasted it here into I, column I. And we're going to now use that to do a basic function of sum. So we're going to use the sum function. And what the sum is, it just adds up these values. We're going to add up these values here. We're going to add up 1, 2, 3, and 4 all together. So how we create a function is if we type in equals again, then we simply type in the name of the function. So in this case, we're using sum. So if we type in sum, we will get a drop-down list here appearing of the different functions available with the word sum in it. So we're going to do the most basic one, which is the sum at the top, the option at the top with just sum. So if we click on it, we'll get, not only will we have our word sum capitalized, but we will also get an open bracket appearing. And this is, so every function in Excel has different parts to it, and so you'll need to know how each function works by looking at the parts of it. So with sum, what you need to do, remember, is that you can create your selection of sum by pressing number 1 and then comma, the second number you want to sum, and then comma, the third number you want to sum, and then comma, the fourth number you want to sum. And then to close the function, you close the brackets, you have the other side of the brackets, and then you press enter, and we get 10. You can also quickly find the sum is if you highlight the cells and make your selection 1, 2, 3, 4, then look down in the bottom right, you'll see here that it also has the sum stated there. An easier way of doing sum is if you type in equals and type in sum again, and then just type in open bracket rather than going down and making the selection in the list. You'll also create the function. And to make it even quicker, instead of going each number at a time, you can select and hold, continue pressing down on the first number you want, then drag down across the whole selection that you want to sum up. And if you let go, and then close the bracket, and then press enter, it will do the sum for you. So that is it for this tutorial. Just a quick intro into operators and functions, and I'll see you next part where we'll be diving into functions in a bit more detail. Thank you very much for watching.